Hello, young folks. This video here is just basically going to be designed in order to give you an idea of how to create a graph using Google Sheets or spreadsheet, because you need to know how to do a digital graph. So we're going to create one using that now. Now, the data that you're looking at here is some sample data, and the stuff that I'm going to use is this time versus distance. So I'm going to use this information in order to build a graph on Google. So I've got my information. So I've got time in seconds in this column, and I've got distance in meters in this column. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Google here, and I'm going to either go to Sheets or find Sheets wherever Sheets are in your particular device or locations. And since I'm starting a brand new one, I'm just going to start a blank one here. All right, now some of this may be difficult for you to see, so I hope you can see this, or you can blow it up to make it so that you can see it. Now, a spreadsheet basically is a big chart. It's got numbers on one column of the chart, and it's got letters on the other row of the chart. And that combination is going to give us lots of information, like you can build a graph based on those two things. Now, if you can see this information on my graph here, let's see if I can make it any bigger for you. All right, so this is an untitled spreadsheet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and title it, because that's actually the first thing you should probably do to just about anything. So I'm just going to call this period 8 graph practice. Now, other things. So as you look at this information, once again, you have numbers on one side of the sheet, and you have letters on the other. Now, what this is going to represent in a graph is all of your data and your X and your Y. So you've got your vertical versus your horizontal, or your horizontal versus your vertical. Now, what I'm going to show you next is this letter A. If I'm dealing with time, time is always on the X. So time is always on the bottom line of your graph. So, or if you're creating a graph that you need to figure out which one is your X, figure out which one do you want on the bottom of your graph. Your graph has a bottom or a horizontal, and your graph has a vertical. Time, if you're using time, it's always going to be the first letter, if you can, that you input into your information. So this here is going to be my actual time. So this row right here was says A, B, and then it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down there. That's going to be the information that I'm going to be putting for my time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and back to this particular deal. Here's my time. And just to make it easy, I'm going to go just copy this information here. And I'm going to go on back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that first A1 or 1A, and I want to paste that information in. There it is. So now, so far, I have, come on, don't go so fast. I have that data that was my time posted in under A. And remember, my A column is going to be my horizontal. So whenever you're doing your horizontal or your X, it's going to be in the A column. Or it's going to be the first thing that you input. You can do different columns, but if you're like, I want this on the bottom and I want this on the vertical, just note that the first thing it'll go will be the first thing that it sees. The second thing that it will look for is, of course, my distance. My distance on this particular sample information is in meters. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this information. I'm going to go back to my graph. Now, notice I didn't put seconds here. I didn't put meters there, because when you're creating a spreadsheet, you want it to just be the actual, you want it to just be the numbers that you're going to be kind of putting. So I could have started it one row lower, but I'm not going to just for sake of time. I'm going to paste that information in. So here I have the information for my time and my information for the information for my distance. In order to get this to create a graph, I'm going to have to shrink this down a little bit because you have to kind of see an icon that's going to be on your toolbox that's at the top. So here's that data a little bit smaller. So this little guy here is the graphing tool. I'm not going to select that yet, but that's the tool that I'm going to use. All I need to do is tell the computer what information do I want to graph. So I'm going to highlight that information. Now I find that tool, this graphing tool, and I'm going to just, it says insert chart. I'm going to click on that insert chart. Click. And now, so far, you see it's created a column chart and it's a bar chart. Now remember, we use line charts, so all I gotta do is change the type of chart that I'm using. Here's a line chart here. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on that and boom, there it is. So I don't need to scale my graph. I don't need to do all of those things. The information that I needed or wanted is there. Here it's got my time laid out from 0 through 15. Now, if I need more information, I can do what's called aggregate that information. And if you click aggregate that information or series it, it's going to give you more data showing on each of the columns. Now, as you know, anytime that you create a graph, you have to title it, you have to do a lot of things. So chart style, chart axes, and title. So I'm going to use that next. Chart title. I'm going to call this my time versus, or my distance versus time graph versus time. And boom, there's my title. Other parts that I can label. I can change my font. I can create a legend. I can do a number of things. So I'm going to click on the horizontal axis here. And it didn't give me what I want. So I'm going to go back to axes and titles. There's my title, font, color. Where's my other vertical? I need to select it first. Chart title. Okay, in chart title, I'll click that, open it up. There's a subtitle. I'm going to label my horizontal axis. The horizontal is my time. So in this one here, I'm going to call this time. And here is where I'm going to put the units for my time in seconds. Then I'm going to go back up to that little guy where it says vertical axis. Click on that vertical axis. I'm going to put the information in. My vertical axis happens to be my distance. And my distance is in meters. Voila. So far, this graph has all the information that I need. You can do a lot of different things to it. You can change the font size and lots of bells and whistles, but that's basically a done graph. Now, this graph, you can save this graph, and that's what I'm going to want you to do lots of times. So it's got 3 little dots here, or boxes here. On that 3 little box, you can delete, you can download it, you can move it to its own sheet, you can edit it, lots of information there. You can save it as a PDF, you can save it as an image. Lots of those are great examples because I'll ask you to insert the graph into a lab. So if it's already a picture or PDF, just save it as a PDF or a picture and look for that PDF or picture and insert that into your lab. So that's basically the quick and rough way how to do a quick graph using sheets.